Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Ramadan special on EAVA FM on 102.5 FM. Today's the show, the loose talk, I believe we're going to call it, aren't
That's
we?
what we're calling it.
The loose talk. We've got
That just
myself,
means a bit
Riaz,
of this, a bit of that.
we've got David, we've got Kurt, and we've got Ismail. Kirk, congratulations on your win. You smashed it.
Thank you for
You know
that.
what I mean?
And thank you for the support from the community, because it was them that got me over the line in the end. You know,
Over the line, you flipping walked over the line.
Yeah, it was a good campaign. We was out for 3 months, and I think the work we've been doing over the 4-year period paid dividends, to tell you the truth. So it was nice.
I just
It
hope
was
you
nice
keep
to get the
winning all the
numbers
time
back.
now. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Say congratulations again. Say it.
I couldn't say because I was fasting. Congratulations.
I know what you meant, don't worry. I know what you meant.
You can't come out funny. So Dave,
Go on.
tell me about your day. Go on.
We had a good day down at City Retreat. A lot of
Yeah, it
people.
was,
A lot
yes.
of people. We had some non-Muslim people there. I don't know the female side of it, but we had one guy called Jobber.
Jobber. Yeah, Jobber.
Lovely fella.
Big Lee Jobber.
Big
Yeah,
Lee
that's the
Jobber.
guy,
You know,
Big Lee
that's the
Jobber.
first time he's ever seen anyone pray.
Really?
Yeah, I asked him because I looked at his face. I said, "Bro, you've never seen it." I said, "You ever been in a mosque or anything like that?" He went, "Never." I said, "Let me finish. I'll get someone to explain the exact everything of what's going on in English for you." But he is very intrigued. I'm not saying he wanted, but he was very, very intrigued by it all. He's asking a lot of questions. But that's what we wanted, isn't it?
He was in awe of it, to be honest with you.
He was. But that's. I'm presuming that's what City Retreat wants. That's the whole point of City Retreat, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
To try and bring people that have got questions as well. Not necessarily
Muslims,
to
but we
convert.
try. No, we have to. There has to be some sort of community cohesion, don't there? As Muslims, we have to interact with the non-Muslims, don't we, Kurt?
It was good. It was a really good event. I think that the mixture of people, the diversity of people in there was good. And Lee was a person that emphasised that. And he loved the food.
Tattooed, bald-headed. You think
He loved the
differently, would you?
food. He loved the milkshakes.
He made best friends with Akil.
Yeah.
Like Akil sat him right down next to him.
Two heavyweights.
Almost held hands. It was shocking.
So Ismail, what do you think the Islamic perspective is this about cohesion, community cohesion? Do you know any hadith or anything that relates to it, or any ayats from the Quran?
The fact that if you look in the Islamic world, the churches have been before the masajids. The churches were there before the masajids. For example, current Islamic world, we take Syria, Iraq, all that region, Lebanon. So you had churches and synagogues before they were masjids, because obviously they were around before Islam. And when Islam came, the churches and the synagogues were still there. And obviously a lot of people are watching Ertugrul now at the moment.
Yeah.
And then it shows how they also protected the Christians as well. If they were free to practice their religion.
Yeah.
So it just shows that Islam never discouraged people or forced people onto Islam. And also the fact that when Hazrat Umar came into Palestine, the first thing he said, look, your churches, your synagogues, they're all safe. All your wish you can practice how you want. So this comes from our Islamic tradition.
That's where they kept everyone though, right? When they used to come to Mecca or Medina, was it? All the guests used to actually stay in the mosque. All the non-Muslims, is that correct?
No, you had loads of visitors, delegations that would come to...
Before Islam, you mean?
No,
at the time of the
wasn't
Prophet ﷺ, you had many delegations that would come to the masjid. Obviously, they had treaties to be made. There was many things to discuss. So they would come to the masjid. They were like guests. Obviously, some of them may need to stay overnight. They would stay in the masjid, yeah. That was
I always remember the story of the guy who weed up the wall in the masjid. I don't know why it sticks in my head.
Only him.
No, bro, it always sticks in my head. Was he a Muslim or a non-Muslim?
It was a Bedouin who just passing by, weren't he, I think?
As far as my knowledge goes, he was someone who just embraced Islam. He just embraced Islam, and
Not from
obviously
Blackburn.
he never. I think we need to take out a disclaimer. Yeah, the EAVA FM doesn't have anything against Blackburn. It's just our own.
It's you two yesterday.
I don't know nothing about Blackburn. You know what I'm saying?
Him
and Jedzi.
yesterday.
It's a lovely place up north, Blackburn.
Have you been up there? You've been there? You
I've
got
been
it?
up there. I've got relatives up there.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've got cousins from there. So I've been there quite a few times.
Are they
Very,
up to-
they let you in the mosque?
very hilly.
Which
Very
mosque are
hilly.
they a member of? Do they have like special cards and stuff? This guy
I
reckons
think,
you
I
have
think
to have
one of the things
cards.
I remember about Blackburn, they're saying you have to take your shoes off as you enter because there were so many mosques. You don't know, you're trampling all over mosques.
Some
There's
mosques,
hundreds and
some mosques, they don't
hundreds.
allow you to wear socks in the mosque.
Shut up.
I swear. Yeah, once you
Get
go in the
out.
Jamaat Khana, you can't wear socks.
Bruv, can I say something? Because you come out with
Is it
some
'cause
right
it's
random
nobody toes or
stuff.
something. What
No,
is
because,
that?
because some of the socks stink, apparently. We don't
Well, surely the feet are going to smell just as much as the socks.
You wash your feet, don't you?
I don't care what they're doing, bruv. Come on.
So as Muslims, what do you think we can do is for in Leicester? We're quite fortunate, aren't we, Kurt? We
We're
have
very
good
fortunate.
community cohesion here, don't we?
Very
Yeah.
fortunate. I think as a community, we're probably one of
Alhamdulillah.
the exemplars of the country, to be honest. I mean, you go to some of the places up north and you wouldn't even recognise the things and the way that we're fortunate here and how we can walk freely in most areas of the city, have no issues, no challenges. There's always individuals that are going to spoil
Always,
that.
yeah.
But I mean, as a collective, you know, we're quite fortunate like that. And you go to some parts of the country and you think, wow, it's like you're in a different world. But you're not too far. You're not even a million miles away from Leicester. So, you know, I think it's important that we don't rest on our laurels. We could do a lot more. I think us as a community could do a lot more as well. We could be a lot more outwardly. And that's why it's good to see events like the City Retreat one, inviting non-Muslims in, bringing people in, etc., etc. So, you know, there's a lot of work to be done, but we're in a good place. We're in a lot better place than most.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
We've got a message from Mahmouda Duke. I
God.
am from Blackburn, Mahmouda Duke. Be careful of what you say about Blackburn, folks. She's a lawyer. So be very careful.
And she owes me a coffee as
Can
well.
I just say
There's
something?
a
though?
lawsuit on us.
I liked it when I was there.
What, Blackburn?
Yeah.
Have you been?
Yeah, of course, twice I
You
went.
should have stayed.
Why you been like that, bro? I didn't have membership. You see how that? What's the guy from the mayor of London? He gets a lot of stick. innit?
Sadiq Khan.
Sadiq.
So he gets
I
loads,
know,
doesn't
it's
he?
from the far right. It always gets stick.
He gets loads, bro.
Always.
Have you found any stick at all for anything or anything?
You always get stick because you're never going to be able to please everybody.
But no one actually looks at you as a Muslim, though, do they?
Anybody that
Kirk
makes
and his master,
decisions,
you know what I mean? So it's a very Englishy sort of name, isn't it?
yeah, anybody that makes decisions, you will always get it wrong for somebody.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And he's Labour. You know what I mean? So it's going to get stick.
Can I ask you, how did you get into politics?
Fell into it, literally.
So-
I had a gap in my career, which I was always,
You
doing
was working
social
with kids
work.
first, weren't you?
I was working with young people at the extreme ends of those that are in prison. Built a bit of a reputation for that. Went to London to work with the Home Office around that as well. And there was a gap in my career, and I literally fell into it back end of 2000 and when was the last election? 15. So back end of 2014, and then stood for election in 2015. So I never had any intention of coming into politics. To be honest, I don't do politics with a big P. I came into it to get things done. And, you know, Leicester's a Labour city. It's now known as Red Leicester. You know, we've got 54 elected members in Leicester and 53 are Labour.
Wow.
There's only
That's
one
massive.
that was held his seat this year, which was a Lib Dem. So Leicester's traditionally a Labour seat. So it's good because I think, you know, the communities have worked quite well with the party, and the party have recognised the needs of the different communities across the city as well.
I thought he was a footballer, semi-professional footballer.
Yeah, I used to do that as well, but it's,
Oh,
it's never going to pay the bills, and that was a long time
But
ago.
you get paid for it though, didn't you?
When I did, yeah.
I heard you was quite good. I
But-
heard you kicked off with the fans a couple of times.
What
as
are you
well.
on about? Why do you... Something's wrong with this guy, bro.
What do you mean, sorry?
You're on about
saying-
Victoria Park days.
No, I'm talking about.
He doesn't understand
No,
football.
no,
He's
he doesn't understand the
he's a
fact that
football
he's a-
fan.
Oh, he's
He's
too
a
high.
football-
Who's he going to kick off with? The line?
Trust me, the guy gets vexed at football.
I was passionate about
Yes.
football.
Yeah,
Is the right word.
That's
I was
right, yeah.
passionate.
Yeah.
He was
I-
fast, but if they came to tackle him, he'd just leave them, take the...
He did a cancer, you know that?
I wanted to win. I wanted to
He did a
win.
cancer.
That's
Calm
what it
down.
was. I wanted to win.
When you were young, we used to have, what was it? What was the team called? And no matter where they
Nirvana.
played, something went wrong.
Nirvana.
Was it Nirvana?
It was
Highfield
Leia
Rangers.
94.
Well, it was another level.
It could have been Highfield Rangers,
But
actually.
right, going back to the whole racism, in them days, oh yeah, that was another level,
Terrible.
that was.
Terrible.
But it was quite...
That's
it was,
grassroots level as well, isn't it? The football.
Yeah.
The racism on grassroots level was
That's-
terrible.
What's Akil doing?
I don't know, it's some creature on there. He's complaining again, producer.
So, Kat, quick, one of my things is, like you say, we've a big Muslim community. Why don't we have a Muslim MP?
Good question.
Yeah, we've
I
got
think
Keith
it's a
Faz.
good
one?
question.
There is a one.
I
We-
didn't know that.
For Leicester, we've got Keith Faz, who's Leicester East, Liz Kendall, who's Leicester West, and John Ashworth, who's Leicester South. So John Ashworth probably represents the majority of the Muslim communities from Leicester South.
I've got nothing against John.
And he
Ashworth.
does a good
Yeah,
job.
he's a good,
Yeah, he's
good guy.
He
But he's
does a
not
good
originally
job.
from Leicester.
Who do you
No.
think? Who do you think
Isn't
will
it?
actually do it
He's
without?
not originally from Leicester.
Where's he
Who do
from
you
then?
think's going to do it without
He's
an
from
ulterior
that
motive,
town.
though, bruv?
Mm.
Do you see? Because they've all got ulterior motives.
We need to, as a community, we need to be more tuned into the political system. And without understanding it and knowing it, we're a little bit light in terms of acknowledging how the powers that be work. And I think we could be a lot better at that.
Yeah,
Because like you said, we're a big community, a very big
Very big
community in Leicester. And we have a big influence in how the voting system works. And we can either use that effectively or not. And, you know, that's for the community to decide.
Some people tend not to
Someone's
vote for
just said
some
hello
reason.
to you.
Yeah.
Farana Kareem.
He educates me quite a lot, you know, because I moan at this man. I was moaning at him about, you know, all the road work. So he's like, yeah, it's nothing to do with me. Yeah, it is. So, no, and then he educated me on the whole thing, and I was like, oh, I didn't know it worked like that. Because it's
I'm
quite.
still waiting for my online parking.
Residence parking,
Resident parking,
not
sorry.
online parking. Online parking, you'll be waiting a long time for.
Sorry, yeah, it's fasting day. You have to excuse me.
You can't keep using
Man,
that, though.
I can. Resident parking, I'm still waiting for it. It's been over a year now, Kirk.
Takes time.
Oh, you want residence parking?
Hold on, there.
Mike,
Akil's moaning at
You
you.
got me or him? Me? Well, I'm on the microphone. Yeah, I can't help it. I'm fidgety.
We're going to have to call him the angry dictator.
Yeah. So as Kurt says, we need to be more engaged with politics, don't we? I mean, there is that side of politics where the Muslims get engaged, but it's mostly to do with foreign policy, and they go into that sort of thing.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
We should try and avoid a bit. Not go deeply into it, but I think we need to be on local politics more than anything, because that's where we live in.
I think if anyone's listening and they want to fire questions at him,
Yes, now's your
we
chance.
can have a 20-minute fire questions at Kirk Masters.
There's nothing new in my world, bro. Honestly.
You can
Do you know
turn
what?
on.
Hey, Riaz. We'd go to
The telephone number.
we'd go to the African Caribbean Centre. We always used to eat there, and I used to fire people into him.
He used to pass people over to me and go, he'll sort your problem out. And some of the problems that people were talking about were so random.
Oh mate, they were random.
Wow.
Yeah, but you still give them the time of day.
Yeah, well, you have to,
Hold on,
don't
wait,
you?
I'm
Because
good,
if you can help,
Wait,
that's what
That's
we've come to do.
Don't upset Akil.
Don't stay quiet. Radio. You
Just wait for the phone number.
Okay,
So
Akil,
I
put
have
the,
radio.
Akil, just put the cane down though, bro.
EAVA FM Ramadan special on 102.5 FM. If you want to ring, the phone number is
Coming.
dun, dun,
Because people can watch. Can people watch on Facebook?
Okay.
Yes, it's
Like right now.
Sumaya Umar says, want to invite Kurt to the community fun day on 22nd of June.
Where's that?
I don't know. No idea. Okay, the phone number is if you want to ring and speak to Kurt, because he's a special person. It is 016
Look, Akil, someone sent you a message.
Sumaya says, hi Akil Muhammad Zikar.
Follow.
Because
Okay, a lot of people out there don't know that they may know. Kirk is a deputy mayor of Leicester as well, and he's also a deputy police commissioner. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
You got double role.
Yeah.
I didn't
Two
think you had
roles.
that anymore.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you get double pay.
kind of.
So if you've got any questions today on Leicester politics,
Any complaints, just ring on 016.
You did say this was a loose talk program or whatever it was.
I'm not picking on you.
I know, no, you're not, to be
I'm not
fair.
picking on you.
It's completely become politicised.
So if you want to ring, it's 016 212 9324. You can text us on 07450 925084.
Do you see racism in your whole line of work at all in any way?
There's racism everywhere. You know, you'd be.
Stuff where you'd actually want to stop and say, right,
I have done.
oh yeah?
I have done on many different occasions. It happens all over the place. Sometimes it's a genuine people just being blatantly racist, and sometimes it's just a lack of ignorance or
Can you give us an
education.
example?
Like, or a mistake like me.
Could you give us an example?
Well, there's circumstances that, you know, sometimes
You can't
different communities, like today, if you use a city retreat as an example, you know, there's people that attended today that had never experienced some of the things that they saw. And it wasn't because they were being ignorant to it, they just never had the opportunity. So it's about how Dave was saying, you know, he's working with them people, speaking to them in a particular way and saying, look, this is how we do it and whatever. And the guy today you spoke to went away feeling a bit more comfortable about things.
Talking like that with like people that way.
But
That's
sometimes you don't have that opportunity, and it's just that split second that you have to try and convince somebody or challenge somebody to say, actually, that's not the way you do things or whatever. And we're as guilty as the next as a community. You know, we constantly need to learn.
No, a lot of us are insular. I'm not. You know,
because what I explained to him was simple. There's 4 or 5 of us just here. I wouldn't want any of us to talk to you other than Imam Shafi, because his temperament and the way he talks is so good.
Yeah, it is, mashallah.
Like he really
He's
knows.
eloquent.
And also, he's not got a tainted version to anything cultural wise. He's just that way. He's good.
Okay, Ruxana Hussain says, Assalamu alaikum brothers, wa alaikum assalam. Good to see you at the City Retreat today. What are we doing about knife crime in Leicester? What can we do as a community, champions, leaders to help?
That's too much of a question, man.
It's a big question, but it's an absolute timely question. And I'm glad she put the bit at the end, as in what can we do as communities, champions and leaders, because that's the important bit. You know, public sector bodies, local authorities, the police, etc. They can only do a little bit, but these kids are from our communities. They're from our families. They're from our neighbourhoods. They're from our mosques. So it's important that the bottom bit becomes the top bit, and we ask ourselves first, what can we do, rather than relying on others. Because in other bits of life, we don't rely on other people.
Yeah, but
we do it ourselves.
We're dictated to. Look at all the youth clubs. When we were
What
young,
youth clubs?
Calm down. When we were young, how much youth clubs did we have, Kirk? How much things did we have?
Loads.
Now, that was your first point of call to see who could need help or would need help. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so now they get to a certain age, and once they pass that age, that's why I like what Tariq's doing with the horse thing. I love what he's doing, because he's getting them at such a young age that he actually can influence them a little bit. And that's what they need. I took a load of kids cycling, Rutland Water.
I
Bro,
remember seeing that video.
right.
Yeah.
These kids are naughty little kids, bro.
Yeah.
But within about 20 minutes, they turned back into children. It was beautiful. I was having such a laugh with them. But they don't have that anymore.
No.
Who has that? The only person that I know that does it is Tariq. Other than that, there may be. Obviously, there's other people. Oh, no. EAVA does it. EAVA does it, doesn't he, with the football lot? But I don't know what age he gets them at. Jedzi doesn't do that. Jedzi's more...
No, Jez Varney. He does some bits for his community now. Yeah?
Jez does a lot. He does a lot. But he's...
But he's not Muslim, he's non-Muslim.
That doesn't matter.
No,
That
I'm
means
saying
nothing
we're
to
talking
me,
about
bro.
Muslim community in general, aren't we?
Bro, no. We're not. Knife crime. No, hold on, watch.
No.
Let me finish. Let me finish what I'm about to say.
What can we do as community champions, leaders to help? We're talking about ourselves.
Right, no, we're on about knife crime, and she's on about just knife. Knife crime isn't a cultural,
No, of
religious,
course
it's an
not.
everything
Of
thing.
course not.
And every single... So I'm not going to shout Tariq every second, but he gets kids from every single bit of the area. Do you know what that does? One day they may all be in town, and there might be a trouble between that one and that one. Them two will know each other and say, listen, leave it out. We're actually friends. Do you see what I'm saying?
I've seen that before.
These small little things matter. They actually matter. These are things that happen in youth clubs. Melbourne Road Church, when I was a child, we used to go to something called Holiday Roundup. I used to be a Dan at Bible stuff, right? They used to get kids. I don't mind. They used to get kids from every area, and they used to bring them all to Melbourne Road Church. So then, when it came to certain things, you would actually know them. So if it came to the children, I know we know them. You see what I'm saying?
There's a lot of good work going on by a lot of good people. I think that the main ingredient that a lot of our young people are missing is time. The world has become so quick, everybody's life's become so busy that we're forgetting our young people, and we're just putting them in places that we think fit and we think work because it's easier for us to do, because we've got to go to work or we've got to do this, because society's dictating that to us now. So we've got to learn to be spending more time with our own kids rather than passing the responsibility on to other people. And as a community, I don't think we do that well enough.
No way.
We don't do that well enough at all.
Do you think when kids go to school, you've lost about 60% of whatever the hold is you have on them? Because every influence under the sun gets hit.
Yes,
on
of
them.
course.
School plays a big
Do
part,
you
doesn't
think
it?
it's been
Because look at
taken away from parents?
the amount of
Yeah,
time
yes.
that they're in the school environment. It's bound to play a part.
But do you think certain responsibilities have been taken from parents?
Mike, please.
I wouldn't say they've been
Sorry.
taken from parents. I'd say the schools have a different role from what they had before. When we was at school, when I was at school, I knew there was a line,
Yeah.
and I knew my teacher could deal with it if I
Six of the
crossed
best.
that line.
Yeah.
Whereas now, these kids don't have a line when they're going to school or whatever else. They're in control.
Yeah.
And because they have that attitude that they're in control, it makes it a difficult environment.
Yeah.
It really does. But when I was at school,
I've got 6 of the best.
I knew where that line
Yeah,
was.
that's right.
And
Teachers have-
yeah, the
got
teachers
black
had
on
the
that,
control after that. And you get it double. You get it double. So you get it at school, and then it was worse when you got home.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's,
They've lost that
things
one.
have changed.
That respect for teachers, they've lost.
Yeah,
a
the
lot of
kids
respect
think
for
they've got
teachers
full
now.
control all the time in all
A
environments.
message from Hannah. She's saying, you guys are doing an amazing job. Salams and love from Hannah and the girls. Great to listen.
Okay. Rookie says again, she says, first responsibility lies with parents and guardians, and then it lies with the community. Then Hamida, you said, Slams, I work in a local secondary school and we had a special assembly on knife crime, informing students about the dangers of knife crime and where they can receive help and support. Rookie Hussein says, authorities have a role to play, but we all need to join the dots and have the joint approach, like you said earlier on.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So what do you think of this one with the kids with the secondary school, especially some of
I
the knife
don't know
crime?
about that.
Yeah, the knife crime workshops happen now. The police
Well,
run
it's
those
schools now.
all
Yeah,
over.
Is it there just as
But the
statistic?
thing is- the
or is
thing
it
is,
making
right,
a
no.
difference?
The thing is, right, the police go in there and the kids don't really want to engage with
gonna
the
talk
old
to the
bill.
police,
Yeah,
full
they're
stop.
talking about knife crimes. You've got people in uniforms. Kids look
Do you know
at
who
them.
they respect, believe it or not? They respect people that were bad.
Yeah,
That's the only, it's
Yeah, I
it's
know.
strange, bro.
it is.
You know, I get it, because when I was young, I only respected, well, no, I respected everyone to be fair. But nowadays, when I see them, I know that they only respect certain things.
Ramadan special on EAVA FM 102.5 FM, I've been told to say that. The phone number is 0116 212 9324.
He's
You
on
can
one
text
today,
us
isn't he?
on 07450 925 084.
I
This
thought
is
Zed
my-
had calmed him down.
Another one for Kat. Will the Leicester City Council?
Why me? Why don't you ask Dave a question, or why don't you ask Riaz a question?
That's it,
Or ask Akil a
We're
question.
going to grill him to
Bro, he's a guest, bro. He's a volunteer guest here today. You're sticking.
We're going to grill him.
Sticking a knife in.
No, not with you.
Okay,
I remember this. He'll be back for something. What?
Get rid of all the party. Get rid of all the
And he
party.
knows.
Shafi came in to take a nap. Yes, he did. He's been quiet today.
Listen, Kat, do you think the Leicester City Council, Mr. Soulsby, will be funding or supporting any like youth club projects?
I think there's a commitment in the manifesto for our Labour Party this year through the election to look at a range of different youth services, to look at a continuation of and some expansion stuff around the adventure playgrounds. There's also a knife crime strategy that's going to be devised from our Labour manifesto as well for the city in conjunction with partners, because now we see it as it needs to be done exactly what one of the questions was. The dots need to be joined up. There are bits of work going on, but there's not that collective approach. So I think the manifesto will design that out, so there will be a knife crime strategy for the whole of the city. So there's things that will happen over the next period soon as well, and I believe Peter's here next week anyway with Zed. It'd be a good question to ask him, but I'm sure there's challenges
in
ahead.
this area-
Yeah, you have to remember, just there's £150 million been taken out of the city council's budget from local, from central government. £150 million,
That's a lot
and
for Leicester.
and the only thing it impacts is on revenue budgets, and what revenue does is the day-to-day cost of making things happen. So what tends to happen when you have no money, you only do the statutory things, the things you have to do by law. Everything else starts to get cut because you don't have the money for it. And so, it's not a blame game and saying, well, central government gave us the money back, we'd do youth services. Central government gave us the money back, we'd put more youth clubs on, and so on and so on. But you have to make decisions where, adult social care, do you look after an elderly person in a care home, or do you keep the front door of a youth service open? and they're difficult decisions. And when the law tells you you have to do one or the other, sometimes your hands are tied.
Okay, we've got some messages from Hassan. Young people are now more pressurised to grow up faster than their predecessors. When I was 10 years old, I was a 10-year-old. 10-year-old
Pressurised
now.
or not? Is that just a side? I grew up around adults, bruv. Everyone that I hung around were naughty adults. So I just grew up
That's
that
why
way.
you grew up like that. It also says knife crime.
fun.
Hassan Salman says, I got thrown into that. Hassan Salman said knife crime work should stay with those delivering frontline service and those who have expertise in that field.
I agree with that.
Yes, I agree.
And
with
that just echoes your point,
yeah,
Dave,
that's
as
right.
well.
Yeah, because Hassan knows the score though.
Yeah.
Because
He's
he works
been-
with youth services.
We've
Yeah.
been seen and done it.
Yeah. And Rookie Hussain says police are seen as authority and kids don't let their guard down in front of the police. Brother David is right. Someone with experience or a bad life turned good is much more powerful than a person who's able to build a relationship with the children where they will open up and discuss issues.
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
She
agree.
said I was right.
He always thinks he's right.
This guy is so he always wants to win.
Did you know? Did you know the Leicester City Council in the 70s, they were blatantly racist.
Yeah, of course he
When
will.
the East Africans were coming, they said, "Don't come to Leicester."
Oh, you've got issues, bro. He's got issues, isn't he?
They went from black
This guy, no, he's got a lot of pent up. You've got pent up stuff inside you.
Has his rent gone up or something? I don't know what's going on. Has somebody put your rent up?
Council rents are going up.
Somebody's put his rent up or something. He's got a parking ticket or something's happened. Have your bins been emptied
You
recently?
don't seem very happy this year, bro.
Take it out, man.
Fiza Khan says maybe the police can work in conjunction with ex-offenders to deliver a program on knife crime to schools, but the police don't pay.
That doesn't do nothing.
Yeah.
You know this whole thing of people going into schools and talking to them. I'm not being funny, but what?
But if you can change,
I don't. I'm
that person,
not
that's
saying
good,
that. Listen, I'm not having a go at anyone.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
on about. I've worked with naughty kids, and honestly, like a teacher goes in one ear and out the other. It takes one. Like there was only one teacher I actually had it with in school, and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna listen to him because he's on my vibe, and that's because I knew his past. Other than that, I didn't really care. These kids are another level, bro.
Yeah, I know.
The parents are so blind to their own children, it's unreal. And then here's a funny one. You see, when you go tell I watched a man tell somebody off in the mosque yesterday. Hilarious. And then all the other kids tried to turn on him. Actually turn on him.
Wow.
And he went, "This is my own son." And it's like they wanted to fight him. I literally had to raise my voice.
Oh,
See, once I raised my voice, they didn't fear the father, they feared me. What's that all about?
What's that about? I don't know.
Obviously, that was a big guy.
It's his voice
Why would
like
you
a
bring my
foghorn
size
leghorn,
into
ain't
it,
it?
bro? You're very... This guy.
Well, that's
He's
wrong,
edgy
isn't it?
today, isn't he?
Yeah, he's edgy, isn't he?
He's edgy.
Did you not get enough today?
Think of a question for him.
Akil ate all the biryani, that's why. And we're all eating plates, Akil ate the whole tray. Hey, look at him, why are you shouting
He's
for?
pointing his finger now.
I'm going to report you to Zed.
Is that telling him off now?
Look, Zed's telling him off now, look, shame.
Yeah, so go on, what else do you want to tell Councillor?
Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah, what other beef have you got with Kurt?
You want me to do
So your bins are nominated, there's no street lighting, crime's on the increase, drugs on the smoked everywhere. What else do you want to tell?
No, I've seen the documentary where blatantly the Leicester City Council said, "Look, there's no space for you Asians from East Africa."
It weren't just that.
1972,
Bruv, it wasn't just that. They did it with the workshop, the African Caribbean Centre now. The lads had to go in there, they broke all the locks, went in, and they did like
Sitting.
Sitting.
a sit-in.
That's what they did Rest Dog. was
So it
1984.
wasn't, in them days, it wasn't like, bro, it was actually just any colour. It
We
was,
did that in Rest Dog 1984, we sat in,
yeah.
they couldn't, for 7 days, they couldn't do anything about it.
It's very different.
Yeah, it's really
It's
different now.
very
It
different.
was
now.
very politicised.
You try that now, you're just getting gassed. It's as simple as that. You're getting it. Kirk and everyone.
Naim Papa says Salams brothers. So if anyone wants to ring in, we're on 0116 212 9324. You can text on 07450 925 084. We'd love to hear your
Even if you
opinions.
just want shout-outs.
Even if you want to shout out, say hello to Kurt, you can ring in and give him some grief if you want. That'd be great.
No, no grief. Come on, man.
Be nice.
Talk about cohesion and stuff. I saw yesterday on Facebook in Dubai a Gurdwara.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen it. He's a
Yeah.
famous vlogger. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
Where
Khalid Alambri.
oh, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the Gurdwara actually host iftar. I don't know. Is it for the
Yeah,
whole Ramadan?
they-
All the Ramadan.
Really?
They did it
Yeah.
once a month.
Yeah.
Jetty works with them. Jetty works with them with the homeless thing.
Okay. It was basically one day in Ramadan. Every year they do one day only. Now
Only
the
one-
whole 30 days.
Whole 30 days.
That's crazy.
So they iftar for everyone, and they pray salah there as well.
Yeah.
And
Got a
some of
little
the
corner
some
with
of the
Salah.
Sikh guys were joining in with the salah, and I was like, whoa, yeah. So it just shows, yeah. They say that, yeah.
That's
yeah.
proper community cohesion.
That was like, whoa.
I like what they do with the homeless because they all get involved now, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that there's three groups.
It's called Siva Langa or something. I think that's
Jetty,
cool.
how many groups to do with the homeless? How many different groups? Yeah, how many? Yeah, the good. How do you say?
Gurdwara.
The good what?
Loads.
So you have each day at a time. Yeah.
He's
Three.
shouting-
There you
he's
go,
shouting
three.
it through the window to Jetsi.
That's okay. That's okay. They know what's going on. We can relay
Yeah,
it.
so that was a really good example of cohesion.
Cohesion,
Yeah, cohesion. It was beautiful.
We need to do more things like that in Leicester. Well, Leicester's quite. I tell you what, Leicester's a very,
Leicester's
very
not
good
too
place.
bad, you know.
You know, someone said to me, a far right.
It's getting worse.
Far right guy said to gay. Far right guy said to me, it's my fasting. Far right guy said to me that if Leicester falls, the rest of England will fall.
Yeah.
Basically, because the community cohesion in Leicester's so good. Oh, we've got a special guest now, Jedsi. What's happening, bruv?
We have to
Not gonna
apologise
talk
for.
about that, but-
We have to apologise for Riaz and what
That was
he
a
comes
slip.
out. Yeah, I know, but we
Fasting.
still have to apologise for.
No,
it.
I said that.
Zed said we have to apologise for things when you
Chop,
slip out with
chop.
stuff.
So yes, Jez, what's happening, bruv?
I'm alright, I'm good.
Shaf, you go to sleep for a little while, yeah?
Now, regarding what you're saying about how many groups actually feed on the market, there's,
Or in general, not just the market, in Leicester.
in Leicester, there's so many different homelessness charities and groups and organisations, there's loads. I mean, it depends what angle of homelessness you're looking at.
Oh, you could have a dig at Kirk
You
now.
can have real good at dig at Kirk because the homeless situation is so bad.
Just the council don't like it, do they?
Well,
Says what?
I don't know how much I'm allowed to say online, you see, but...
Oh, is it? Oh no, don't get carried away. Bro.
No,
Keep it
obviously,
nice.
but today I had a meeting with the other groups that hold meals on the market.
Yeah.
So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday is covered by a group called Feed Leicester, a guy called Sam. Saturday, Sunday is the MLSS, Midland Lunga Seva Society, the Sikh people. Wednesday is us. And potentially Friday is going to be MLSS is also going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday is going to be Feed Leicester and ourselves on Wednesday. So every single day at 7 o'clock on the market, potentially there's food. But then you must have heard about the issues that there was an article in the Mercury where a lot of the traders are kicking off because of the defecating.
Feces,
And,
yeah.
you know, basically what's being said is that potentially we are attracting people to the market, which we are. That's at 7 o'clock. They all disperse by 8, and the ones that linger on after, hang around. It's not, we can't help that, but there needs to be like an amicable solution that we can come to try and basically discourage people from gathering there at night times.
You've got the police there now, so that's good.
Oh, that's for trouble at that.
Bro, they
time.
only come for a little bit.
No, but even that, just the presence is enough to deter the people that want to smoke whatever they smoke or drink whatever they drink. And obviously we tell them not to do it in the queues. And eventually they've listened. But what they do before they come to the market or what they do afterwards is none of our business. You know, we can't dictate what they do. And obviously the police presence just stops the whole drug smoking and stuff on the outskirts of the market, not where we're actually based. But obviously that smell does travel around and stuff.
Yeah, it does.
But just the presence of the police officers in uniform makes a massive difference, and we're grateful to Leicester Police.
We've got a couple of messages. Hamza Bod says, can we get a live shout out for Brew from the legendary Garcia?
No, because I tell you what, he's never get me
Hamza,
one single drink in
Hamza, you
there.
have to pay for it.
Hey,
Okay.
no, I'm not one of them kind of
No, I'm
people.
joking.
Don't be like that.
No, pay for it with coffee.
He's a nice guy. Salam alaikum, but I've not seen you in ages, bro.
So go on,
Cup
do
of tea
it.
would
You
be
must
nice.
do
No,
shout
I'm
out.
not doing it.
Brew, coffee, and
Oh.
gelato. Go on, do it.
What is wrong with
That's
you?
what it sounds
I've got
like.
issue. No, it does.
Sorry, yes
sound
it
like
does. Yes it does.
No, because there's cameras as well, so no.
Naeem Papa says, Leicester will never fall. Inshallah, we'll always stay united as one. Abdurrahman Manjra says, salam.
So let me give a shout out to this young lad. Yeah, he's a this Manjra, Abdurrahim
Oh, is your mate?
Rahman. Yeah, I know him, man. Yeah, he's a good lad. So shout out.
You're not
to
angry
him.
with him?
Yeah, I'm not angry with him. Hey, talk about empowering. You know, today Interpal, they had a fundraiser. I don't know if it was a proper. They went around door to door collect, but that tall lad, I forgot his name, who works in Interpal. You know, do you know?
I don't even know what Interpol is. That's
Interpol,
like police
the
thing, isn't it?
Interpal, the charity. The
That's
Palestine-
Interpol.
Interpol.
He's fasting, don't worry. You tell him.
He's got his fast.
So anyway, so that tall brother, he got all these like 9, 10-year-olds, empowered them, and said, look, you go and get the buckets, go around the streets, And after Ramadan, you're gonna get all the feasts. You done it last year with
That's
them.
child labour.
Social services might be getting
Just got someone in trouble for it.
All the kids were like competing. I got more than you in the bucket, so I thought it was really good anyway.
I'm just saying, Islam, bro, coffee's on me always. So go on, say it.
I don't drink coffee.
Go on.
I want a hot chocolate.
He gets mojitos as well. Mojitos. What do you want to call it?
We do, I do. So
Mojito.
pass that on. I can
What,
go
what,
past
you
there
want
every day.
Kurt Masters said, can he get... No, he's not allowed to ask that. He said if he falls in there, would somebody politely say, oh, bro.
David, your sister's joined us.
What's
Anna Maria.
Oh, God, get rid of that. It's going to go wrong now, isn't it?
She has loads of questions.
No, wrong now.
Watch it. She always asks questions.
Does she? Does she
Yes.
get carried away?
Watch.
She's got issues.
She's going to say something in a minute. Watch. She always does.
You watch.
Yeah, the first one you might not be able to read out.
So the homeless situation has become better now, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Because last year it was really bad, wasn't it?
I got a question for you.
Go on.
Do you think, even if it's allowed, that there should be photos of all the non-homeless that pretend to be homeless? So for instance, on Evington Road, I've noticed a lot of homeless people now because they know it's Ramadan and they know that we give. But I don't think they're homeless.
You know what? You just said that. Yeah, yesterday I was walking to the radio station. There was two homeless guys.
What's this? Are you doing rabbits?
Rabbits, as in to say,
Oh,
you know.
okay.
And a woman went to the cash point and gave him some money, and they both looked at each other and smiled. As I walked past, I clocked him smiling.
And you didn't intervene or say
It
anything?
was too late 'cause she walked off. I just looked at him
See,
like
that's
that.
the difference.
And the thing is, the thing is, I went there, I stood there, looked at them both, and they both dispersed.
You know,
what I
this
mean?
this problem
Just out here.
this problem is something that I've tried to tackle, but not as actively as I would have liked to, because obviously we've got constraints we've got to work with. But there's a group actually in Southampton, and basically what he did was he started doing this, exposing the fake
Yeah, I
homeless.
think they should.
It caused a lot of backlash for him as well.
In
But
what way?
because
the
obviously,
community?
yeah, and not just that. I think also it was the homeless community to an extent, because everyone was getting tarred with the same brush then, so people just stopped giving to even the genuine ones. Like, I guarantee you now, and you know what, people probably hate me for saying this, some of them are my homeless group, for example, but if you go in town and you see all those people that are begging on the streets outside the shops and everything, I guarantee you up to about 10, 11 o'clock at night, 80 to 90% will be fake, in the sense that they've already got somewhere to stay that's provided by the council and the benefits. They probably get benefits as well, will be getting benefits as well, money-wise, etc., JSA, whatever they get. And I've literally seen it where they'll come into town dressed up in dirty, wet, ragged clothing and basically pull on heartstrings, and if they know what they're doing, they could potentially walk away with 30, 40, 50 quid a day, go back home whenever, whatever time it is, go to the pub as usual, they'll go get a kebab, whatever, and literally that is what they do. I've seen a guy that initially when I first started, that I thought, this guy, man, Jaro, he's so, you know, like frail and fragile. Oh, thank you, brother, thank you, oh, thank you, it's amazing. I felt really sorry for this guy, so I used to make regular trips to him, and I'm not saying where he sits in town anyway, but same spot always. And
Does he have a dog?
No, he's not
Wait.
got a dog. He's not got a dog.
Discreet with it.
And basically, what happened once, I was walking past Magistrates Court, and a bus pulled up, and as it's come to a stop, there's basically a guy, you know, hopped off at a bit of a canter kind of thing. He's seen me, he's clocked me, and he's like, oh. I thought to myself, wow, this is that same guy, and literally he started limping because he saw me, because he'd been busted. And I'm telling you, it's a big problem, not just here, even London's even bigger. I mean, you've got potentially you've got rackets where a guy in like a minibus will pick up 8, 9 women or guys or whatever, pick them up, take them to Central, drop them off, and like a pimp, so to say. If any problems, they give them a ring, whatever, and it literally, obviously, charges them whatever he charges them for the day, and then they go back home in that minibus in the evening.
I've spoke to a couple on Evington Road as well. Obviously, this is my patch, elected patch, and they're not homeless. And they're just here. They've come because they know people are giving them money. You know, the community's quite,
100%.
you know, they are generous, and they know that, and they've worked that out. So they're coming here and they're sitting around and they're asking for money and whatever.
Exactly.
And I've spoke to 2 or 3 and said, listen, if you need help, we'll get it. Let's get it sorted. Let's go and do this. Let's go and do it. And they don't want it.
They don't want it because
They don't want it
need it.
because
All
they don't
want,
need it.
What they need the money for is the typical stereotype, what you think is going to. There's a guy on Evington Road who's genuinely homeless. I've tried to help him out, but his situation is such that there's no way I can advocate housing for him because there's no way for him to sustain it afterwards. I have a system like we buy mobile phones for homeless people because firstly they need to be kept in touch with, they need to keep in touch with services, etc. So we just get literally it's £10.99 for a phone and top up from Argos. So we've given numerous phones out to people, so we can keep in touch with them. Because don't forget, with us, we try and tackle homelessness on a 360-degree angle. So it's not just the food, it's not just the clothing, it's not just the sleeping bags, but again, the game changer for us is we actually house people, take them off the streets and into some kind of betterment and some kind of normal life, so to say. But the floating support for the ones we can't help, or even the ones we do help, it never ends. Like the two ladies that I work with, Corey and Vanessa, honestly, they're so busy with just helping people and trying to keep them in the tenancies, and that's the key thing for us. We're keeping them in the tenancies after.
Because we do an annual count every year.
Yeah.
And last year I done it as well because half of it, the route I done was covered some of Stonygate, my ward, and the actual count I can't remember if it was 38 or 35, but there was 35 people sleeping rough.
And that's the places where you actually go to, but there's certain places you can't go to where there's some it's probably dangerous to actually go into them places. I'm not exaggerating when I say that.
I can imagine.
You would not go in there without protective clothing to a certain extent because some of the stuff that goes on in there, it's dangerous, literally, and that is a harsh reality. But like I said, there's a massive thing with genuine homeless and the fake homeless, and you know what, it's a massive issue and it needs to be addressed somehow, but I've not got the solutions personally.
How would you address that?
It's a difficult one because what you mentioned about exposing them, whether it was Dave or Riaz, I can't remember. Peter actually was questioning that as well through legislation and through the law and etc. and saying, look, if people are pretend begging on our streets and they're not really in need, how can we say to the general public that don't give them money and whatever else because it's not for what you think it is, and those that are in genuine need, then let's get them the proper support.
The thing is, genuine homeless generally don't even beg in town. Literally, I'm not even joking. You don't really see the genuine homeless community that we know are actually on the streets begging in town. And if you are genuinely homeless, like I said, Leicester, I've got to say, is amazing for services. With regards to charities, organisations like us, and the Bridge, for example, and Action Homeless or whatever. But like I said, the Bridge, for example, that's on Melton Street opposite Leicester College. You can go there literally first thing in the morning, have a shower, wash your clothes if you want, have breakfast. So there's no way you can be hungry in the morning. Afternoons is usually churches and places where you can go to eat. The temples, for example, and the Gurdwaras will serve people food throughout the day if you really want to go there. Evenings, you've got the market. Our charity shop on Abbey Street. We tell other groups, you know what, if they need clothing and you haven't got it, send them there because we've got loads of stock. And everything in there's £1, £2, £3, £4, whatever it is. Jackets are £7-8 if they're branded or whatever. But if they need them jackets, we'll give it to a genuine homeless person. We have an abundance of sleeping bags there for people that genuinely need it. And these are the people that we can't help, because we do a B&B project as well. So obviously we've got limits and restrictions, and when it comes to active substance abuse and stuff like that, we got our hands tied because we've done it in the past and we've been stung because we've literally put people into B&Bs, gone back to check up on them a couple hours later, and it's just what you think. They're nice and comfortable, and we literally found someone with a needle sticking out of his arm, needles on the floor, etc. So
it's a really challenging area. It really is. I went to the Bridge Project, and I don't know what you think about this, but I went to the Bridge Project on Melton Street, opposite, it's not Charles Keane anymore, Leicester College. A fantastic project, and we met with a group there who'd came in, they'd done their showers, had breakfast, and they're just doing bits and pieces around. But one of the interesting things he said, you can get a meal, any meal, every single day of the week in Leicester. You can get a meal from
several
somewhere.
times a day.
Anywhere you can get a meal. There's always food available.
Let's go and get some food.
Which I found was, from the charity perspective, was fantastic. That was an amazing compliment.
It is.
But one of the things that he did say, he says sometimes with the food though, especially the curries, he goes, if you're homeless, the last food you want to eat is that, because you don't have anywhere to go toilet.
That is an issue.
And I'd never even thought of something like that until he told me.
It's true, but think about it.
And I was wow.
We give out endless packets of wet wipes. And we do get a lot from Tesco Beaumont Leeds, for example, there's a community champion there called Samia Omar. She's brilliant, man. She gives us so much stuff, coffee, hot chocolate, wet wipes, you name it, she gives us loads of stuff. Now, these packets of wet wipes we give out to the genuine homeless. Now, what you said is right. All right, look, we serve rice and curry because that is what comes from the temple. And we're so grateful to them because they give it us for free every week, rain, sleet, snow, shine, whatever. Every week without fail, they'll cook us fresh rice and curry. That's a nice hot meal. The thing is, it's got pulses in it. And you know what happens when you have pulses and digest, they're going to start popping in your stomach based and gas is going to have to come out. Now, if you're genuinely homeless, for example, keeping under a market stall in a doorway, whatever, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, McDonald's ain't letting you in for a number 2.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go? So they're going to have to go wherever they can. If hopefully it's discreetly, and then obviously they've got the wet wipes to clean themselves up. But someone who's out of it, like whatever they've been smoking or drinking or whatever, they might not have that, you know, the
capacity,
capacity to make a decision like, oh, I'm not going to, you know, do it in my pants or whatever, or just where I'm next to where I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And you know, I understand the council's thing with regards to the actual market area, because look, it's a trading area, it's people's livelihoods, etc. Yeah, it's food as well.
Yeah.
It's people's livelihoods you've got to worry about as well. But the thing is, there's got to be a solution. And one thing I've thought about is potentially having 24-hour toilets near the market, but you're going to have to security in there. That's 100%. But on the grand scheme of things, what is that going to cost? It's not going to be that much when you think about the budget that the mayor's going to pledge to homelessness, which I think it was 1.9 million or something.
Well, the homelessness strategy is £5 million a year.
Well, to set up a 24-hour toilet that homeless people can access at 3 o'clock in the morning with security, because you know what's going to happen otherwise.
Is that
not
nationwide
security
or
there.
just...
That's
No,
the
that's
city.
Leicester.
It's Leicester.
£5 million
£5 million a year is spent on the by city council on homelessness, on a broad range of things across the board.
Where do you get to see where they're spending that money?
Well, if you're
Freedom
not
of
in and
information.
around
I don't
it,
see
No.
Twenty getting any of that.
Freedom of Information Act, you can request it.
Yeah,
you
but
can
you don't
request
get any
that.
of that, do you?
Let's just say, fingers crossed, going forward, inshallah, we're making good moves now, and we're potentially speaking to Kirk's
So
offices.
you're being nice to Kirk now.
Kirk's offices.
Is that why you're being
So-
nice today?
Fingers crossed,
Yeah.
if everything goes to plan, and alhamdulillah,
Cross your fingers, but he's right there.
so far, everything that we've done with as a charity, everything I've done from 2014, alhamdulillah, I've always landed on my feet, and that is because of, I think, deep down is, firstly, we've got no ulterior motives, no hidden motives, and no agendas or anything, and everything I do is transparent. Because everything's on Facebook. It's a necessary evil in this day and age, and we wouldn't have been where we are had we not used Facebook. Simple as. If we don't do the videos, and I think there's a delivery method as well. But you know, you get some people like, yo, I'm looking homeless, blah blah blah. But you know, when you're humble,
We won't name them.
when you're humble and stuff, I think it shines through. The genuineness shines through, and that's
Yeah,
why
I
people
think
get on
so.
board.
I think so.
Again, me being a Muslim, it's not an Islamic charity, as you've seen the kind of people that volunteer, and the people we help are 99.9% non-Muslim anyway. But with regards to that, I think that obviously people can see the need and what we're doing.
Do you find, right, that Muslims only want to give to Islamic charities and don't want to give to any other charity?
Right, okay. To an extent, yes. Well, look at last year, LIA Relief Trust, yeah? They wanted to help us as their UK charity. For Ramadan, they committed to raising 10k for us, yeah?
Okay.
They appealed on here, they came on, obviously, the Radio Pledge Day and all pushing it through the mosque and etc., online and whatever. So 10k they wanted to raise for us that we would have used to house people and stuff. They raised £475,000 for their Rohingya and for other stuff, abroad water wells and stuff like that, and they only managed to get £1,060 for us.
Wow.
And they couldn't have just taken it out at 475 because 10k, because obviously that's not what's been pledged for. So whatever someone's given that money for, you've got to use it for that, because obviously it's on the receipt and stuff.
Do you know why I asked that question?
But what I'm saying there is, it just shows you that if they could raise nearly £500,000 for other projects, 10k is not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but they couldn't raise that because obviously people haven't given it towards it. So I think with the Asian community, the Muslim community rather, it's they think of the stereotype with homelessness, alcoholic, druggy, whatever, and maybe that's what's holding them back from helping. But that's where I like to think that I'm going to try and hopefully get into a lot more people's heads and make them see differently. Utilize us. We work with the homeless. We know who's genuine, who's not. We still get duped every now and again. Obviously, because some of the stories you get, you fall for them. But the thing is, because of the verification process we've got with regards to moving them off the streets into B&Bs and housing, it's going to come up straight away if they're lying. You understand?
Do you know last year, right? Last Ramadan, we raised £100 million in Ramadan. Muslims did. £2 million stayed in this country. The rest went abroad. 98 million went abroad.
Yeah. Do you know why I said it? Because we I don't really like to talk about anything we do, but there's other charities out there, right? One's called Wishes for Kids, and I saw a few Muslim families with their children there. Like, these are kids that are not going to survive too long. And I thought, well, who from the
Where do they
Islamic...
operate?
They are off Regent Road.
No, I mean the people that help, are they like UK Leicester based?
Yes.
UK,
Yeah.
Okay, we've got some
There's a guy called
messages.
Jez Vardy.
Oh, I know
Jez.
Jez Vardy.
So but really good. Now the thing was, I thought these people are trying to raise money to do stuff with these children, because these children ain't got long. But when I saw Islamic families, I thought, wow, I wonder if the community actually
No.
No, I don't think I knew about it.
Shocking.
I didn't know about it.
Yeah, but shocking. But why not? What? Because they're not. Are we not supposed to help everyone?
Of course we are.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, look, I've got some messages. Hamza Boss, homelessness generally feels like it's growing rapidly in the last 2 years, especially in the city centre and around Grammy Street.
But again, that is going to be the fake homeless beggars you see on the streets.
Also, he says most will decline offers of food and ask for cash, which is true.
And that's true.
I
I've heard of people where food's been thrown back in the face, literally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
They go to McDonald's, if they're coming out with their own meal, they say, oh, there you go. Oh, I don't want it. I want money. What? Here, there's your food. Don't want it, literally. And they were asking for money. Forget that.
Zenat Imran says the dude outside the spa, be careful. Goes by the name Salim.
Can't do it.
He's not fake.
He's not. She
He's
says
not
he
fake.
is.
You've put a name up there, so I'm going to comment on him, but he's not fake. He's genuinely homeless. I know where he sleeps. And like I said, that's the brother that I can't help into housing because
So
Oh,
it's not
but,
fake.
you know what's good? The fact that
100%.
someone, and you're not having to go at the person who's just
of
said
course,
it.
because they don't
The
know.
thing is, they don't know, and then
Yeah.
what they've done is they've took first glance, seen what they've seen, and said, but now you've just educated. So you,
Yeah.
just by being here, you've actually just
Out of
educated.
the ones on Evington Road, I can say this person is definitely homeless.
Okay.
The rest, I don't know.
But a lot of that is down to his circumstances, which he chooses to involve himself in.
No. I'll explain to you later.
Oh, he also says, Hamza Botta, we raise millions for causes abroad. It's great to see money raised for issues on our doorstep. We need more of this.
That's your point, Dave.
It is
Yeah,
my
yeah.
point. Do you know there's a lot of, honestly, like, obviously I like wishes for kids, right? And because
I think it's great.
I work for a company called Kong Events, and they do help with their Christmas party and stuff. So most of the kids that was at that Christmas party ain't here now. From 2 years ago. Most of them kids aren't here now. They're terminally ill, bro. Now, what Jez does and people like that is they raise enough money and they take these kids and they do stuff like we took them to. I invited Riaz,
Yeah.
and we took
Wicked.
them to the Snowdome
Yeah, it's brilliant.
to do the Christmas thing, and honestly, the kids loved it, didn't they? Riaz loved it more than them.
Yeah, I did.
Right. Riaz is there and the slopes coming down. I've got photos to prove it. Right. But
No,
do you
it's
know
nice,
something?
it's nice.
You know, them kids, honestly, they're the happiest kids. You see the pain in the parents, but the kids are the happy.
Yeah.
But they raise money solely like where. I'm not having to go at Muslims or nothing. But what I'm saying is, surely we should be allowed to give to other things other than just.
Well, we just got a message saying Salam's on the point over money given by Muslims. 99% of the money given to charities is zakat, and that can only be given to Muslims.
Well, that's interesting because like every year when it comes to Ramadan, I get messages of brothers and stuff on Facebook and that, and oh brother, I've got zakat to give or I've got fidya to give because my mum can't fast and stuff. And as I said, 99.9% of the people we help are non-Muslims, so I don't take it because I can't be held responsible for that 0.01% that try and spend it in the right way because I can't take someone's zakat for that. You understand?
Shafi?
Yeah, that's the point. Zakat could only be given to Muslims. So you could have lillah. That's
Sadaqah?
No, but
Yeah.
that's fine. That's all fine. But I'm not saying that. Give that. Listen, I give that. But I also give in different directions. And all I'm saying is, why not give in different directions?
No, you can.
Why not look at other charities other than, yes, we are supposed to help. I'm not even going to use the words our own because humans are our own.
Do you think help the homeless lesson needs a pledge day on here?
Say it again.
Do you think we need a pledge day on here?
Bro, you trying to give Zed a heart attack? Bro, Zed's going to have heart failure. Keel's already fainting right now, look.
No, but to be fair, you have to scrutinise to a certain level. Like, can you remember? I don't know. All right, you're gonna say I'm gonna have a go again. The Eastern Europeans. no, they're wearing the jubbas, they're wearing the scarves, they're going, but their money. Yeah. And they weren't Muslim. All right, say the kalima. Didn't know the kalima. Yeah, and they must have made a few bob as well. So you
Yeah, of
gotta
course they did.
scrutinise.
But I read a hadith that there's a group of people, and one of them was a non-Muslim in that group, and they gave zakat to that group of people. One of them was a non-Muslim. So I don't know where that came from. I remember.
But far as my knowledge, zakat could only.
Can I ask you a question? Why is the car only allowed? Explain it to me because I uneducated
I
in
don't
that
think
bit.
he knows. To be honest with you. 'Cause it's quite complicated, isn't
It's
it?
a quite complicated thing, but why is it only for the Muslims? Because it's like we sort our own house out in first. To be honest, I don't know the exact.
I keep putting my hand up. Was there not? I know, like I'm at school, But
Yeah.
was there not a time when the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave to others out of that money
From the zakat money.
from?
No, because the zakat money, obviously there's certain conditions on what they can be used at. It's quite in depth. Obviously, we need scholarly talks behind it. But on the grass level, the zakat money could only be used within Muslim. But like we say, sadaqah lillah, etc., can be used on to non-Muslims.
Okay.
So we've got 2 new comments. I run the refugee project in Leicester at the city retreat, and it has all been done on community donations. I would say 75% of donations come from the Muslim community, however 25% of donations are from others. I've noticed that more people want to give locally instead of abroad. Okay, Salam's Riders of Sham annually raised for local children's hospitals 10k raised last year and the year before, and 10k has been placed.
I like them. I like them lot. They're good lads, aren't they? They're a bit noisy, bless them, but I like them. You want to hear them when they're all going?
I
have. Wake anyone up, that would.
No, that's the road style. That's
is that?
Dean ride.
Oh, these are the ones that are doing the ride Germany.
They're the
I think they were just talking to me about a ride they're going to do. Yeah.
You know what? To be fair to Blackburn, I did see a video.
Oh my God! Come on.
They were actually, no. This is. I'm saying something good.
Is this a positive?
This is a positive one.
Okay,
One of the
cool.
Islamic schools in Blackburn. Actually, they're one of the best in whole of England. Their GCSE results smashed even the grammar schools.
I'm in shock that
Yeah.
you're saying this.
And the other thing was they went to the local hospital to give out gifts on Christmas, I think it was. So that's something good they've done.
It's yours.
That school, the school is on about. I'm talking like they get like they're in the top. That school, I think the girls are in the top like 5% of the country, and the boys are like in the top 10 or top 12 or something. That's a second school.
Wow.
Do you know what the actual thing is
No,
that the
it's
Riders
school.
of Sham are doing?
Yeah. So they're basically they're going to get a ride from Amsterdam to Berlin on the bikes.
Cycling.
Not motorbikes, and then obviously they're raising money, sponsorship, etc. for that, which is I think 600 miles or something in so many days. So it's going to be like grueling for them. And then
You up for it, Kurt?
No, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I
just
could do
tie
that.
myself to
I'm
just
not even
about
going to kid myself. I'm with them in spirit.
So,
But that's nice, isn't it? Like there's a group that I'd give it just thinking out the bubble. It's nice. I like that.
So we're Ramadan special EAVA FM 102.5 FM. If anyone wants to ring it, it's 0116 212 93240. Text on 07450 925084.
That's any questions for Kirk. Now that we have Jedzi, any questions for Jedzi, or
Yes.
any questions for the hater of just about everywhere.
He's never going to be able to go back to Blackburn. Never, ever.
if people have got questions regarding homelessness or anything you may think like the stereotypes, etc., what we actually do or how we implement what we do, etc., then ring in. It'd be good.
Are we on Facebook now?
We're on FB only.
We're
Okay,
on
so we're off
Facebook.
FM.
Well, we could have advertised that to people had he said that.
Oh, well.
Akil.
What time is it anyway?
I don't know.
20 past?
117.
1:07. Oh, it's getting late now.
I bet you Akil's tired, isn't he? Akil, you tired?
Right, we've got 5 more minutes left.
You
Any
okay?
closing statements you guys want to make? Kurt, any closing statements about what you want to do in the future for Leicester?
That's a big question.
What's your vision?
That's a really big question.
Narrow it down to
We
like
should
2
make
minutes.
Kirk Amir al-Mu'mineen. You all give bayah. You can have a umama, and the mosque will get under your control too.
Wow, could you imagine that?
Wow. Could I imagine that? Never mind, could you imagine that?
But you know what? It would do well. It would, wouldn't it?
You know what? It's funny you say that, not to that detail, because that was a bit extreme. That's some head chopping business, that is. But I have got a concept in the next 6 months that I want to present to the mosque around some of this work that we're talking about
Do you know what I'd like you to
from
do?
a community perspective. And I'm just going to leave. I can't tell you what it is now, but I'm just going to leave it with them. And hopefully we can get some traction from it. It's a really simple concept, and if they buy into it, I mean physically with potentially some pounds, but also with some other kinds of resource, it could do a lot good work.
Okay.
That's why I like Kurt. Kurt thinks out the bubble as well, doesn't
If you
he?
need
It's
help with
out of
us
the box.
with that-
Yeah, definitely.
Things outside the box, not the bubble.
Yeah, if you need help
They live in a
like
bubble, don't they?
rounding up the imams or anything like that, or Riaz can bring in the thugs in.
Hamza Bod, he says, no point that comes to mind. There are lots of debates on services and support for the youth, but there is general problem of elderly care, and especially around Muslim requirements in elderly care. The documentary by Riaz was a brilliant eye-opener. Oh, okay, mashallah, jazakallah. What do you think to that?
You just texted
No,
me.
it's true.
Hamza Bod, is that my name?
You've got a fake phone on you.
I think there's a whole range of issues that don't just affect our community, but we're starting to see this more and more and more because the younger generation are becoming more conscious, they're becoming more wise, they're becoming more worldly, so they see a lot more. And we've got some good people in our communities as well, and we can't forget that. For me personally, I don't want to keep asking somebody else to do things that we can do. If we can do it, then let's get on with it. We're bright enough, we're educated enough, we've got enough resource.
Yeah,
There's no excuses.
We've got
For
a lot
me,
of
there's
money
no
to spend.
excuses.
A lot of money
It's
to
just
spend.
about the networking, the coming together, and then making it happen. And take all this nonsense out of it, and hopefully it can happen. Elderly is massive. It's a massive part of even the local authorities' budget is huge. Adult social care is the biggest budget for the city council. It tells you everything.
Another message, last one, maybe discussion for another day. Another great show tonight. Very motivational. Keep it going, inshallah. Have a good suhoor, guys. Salam to all. Wa alaikum salam. Right, so we've got a few more minutes. So,
Who was that?
closing statement, anything?
Yeah, that's it.
No, hadith or anything? No,
No, let's finish on a nice note.
Yeah, hadith, nice hadith, come on.
No, what about okay?
No,
that's
what,
a good one.
hadith?
But I wanted to.
Yeah, let's
How many? Here's a
Come on,
question.
Sheikh Dawood.
Sheikh Dawood. How many people have you homed so far?
Since probably January last year, 33.
Ain't that brilliant?
Bro, that's literally 33
That's
people
absolutely
that could
brilliant.
potentially be sleeping in a doorway, in a park, in industrial bins we've found people in. The council facilities, for example, if they get a space, hostels, whatever. And like I said, out of that, I think about 8 or 9 of them actually got jobs. A lot of them got access to the
You
children
help them
again.
get the jobs?
Yeah, we've got links where people are offering jobs
That's
and
a
stuff as
positive,
well.
eh?
That's what I'm saying. Alhamdulillah, we're tackling homelessness on a 360-degree basis. And you know what? We're getting so many different charities, council places are referring people to us, probation service are referring people to us. All these places. I mean, we've got like a spreadsheet that you've seen, and we're in the process of making up that business report and stuff. We'll release it when it's ready. It's nearly finalised, but you'll see exactly how important I feel we are in the community to actually making a positive change.
Absolutely.
And like I said, going forward, I'm telling you, my vision, and it's been a hard graft, but going forward, the networks that we're making, the networking that we're doing and stuff, and the places where we're now getting into, hopefully, that it's going to grow.
Inshallah.
And potentially we could even spread out of Leicester, because this model that we've got, all it needs is the right management and money. And if we get the funding, and there's a lot of funding streams out there for this homelessness, etc., vulnerable adults and whatnot, it could potentially, it could be replicated in any city in this country, really.
So, message, alhamdulillah, we are blessed with the amount of charities and small Muslim community groups all doing their bit for the community and society. 20 years ago, we had nothing, just a few small groups. As a percentage of the population, we do a lot, but we can always do more. So let's not knock ourselves.
Fair point. We do a massive amount as a community, but there's areas that are becoming obviously blatant that we need to do more and have more focus. And I think the two obvious ones are young people and the elderly as big ticket items, and then there's the things like homelessness that might not affect us as a community on a block basis, but this is about us being networking and participating in wider society and showing the good of our religion, that we can do work for other people.
Absolutely.
So there's loads of other things that we
Just
can
one thing
do.
though as well, from when I started, 2014, whatever it was, to up to like last year, and in the last year I've helped a lot more Muslim people, individuals, homeless, struggling families as well. And I don't know, there's just been an influx of a lot more Muslim people that need our services in the last year, so it could be spreading out to the Islamic community as well. So it could fall, homelessness and struggling just to even meet your day-to-day needs can fall on anyone. So it's an issue which is growing day by day. Look at food bank usage and stuff. It's ridiculous, man. And so much food is donated to these food banks, and it's all getting given out as well. Peace Centre, for example.
150 families they feed.
Yeah, Molan Loka, honestly, they get so much food and they give it out, and it's appreciated in that community, in the Thurmby Lodge community. You know, a lot of them, a lot of people do rely on that. I mean, obviously, it's going to be the same for other food banks, but I'm just saying about Peace Centre because I know Molan Loka and he speaks to me. But food bank usage is at an all-time high, as they say, and it literally is.
It is. I can remember the exact same conversation. We started
Wow, just wow.
years and years ago. We was doing substance misuse programs, and the one constant conversation we had with all of our organisations, madrasas, our communities, and whatever. Drugs doesn't happen in our communities. You know, we're okay. We don't suffer from that problem.
Who said that?
This is years ago when we was doing drugs programs. You know, it doesn't happen on our patch.
Yeah, that's so.
It doesn't
not
happen
true
in
now.
our communities.
That's so not true now.
But it was. And look at it now.
No.
Yeah,
It was then, James.
And it could be, the
They
same
just
with
turned a blind
homelessness.
eye
You know, if we
to it.
don't deal with it now,
Exactly.
it could
No,
be
I
that
was
our
gonna say
young
that.
people are getting into situations where they're becoming homeless.
Yeah.
You know, so we need to deal with it
From
whilst
mental
we
issues
can.
from them days, you get a lot of it.
Yeah, it was massive.
Right, give me a positive from your point of view, from the council. Something positive you lot have done. For
Well, I think we've just been re-elected. I've just been personally re-elected. We've
No,
done
that
our
can be a
manifesto.
personal positive. I'm on the God, it's not all about you.
You didn't let me finish what I was going to say.
He puts in all
He
the
always
time.
puts in. He's got a real bad
yes.
habit. I should stamp on his toes because he's got his trainers off. I think he's got them blackbird socks that you were talking about.
Don't start him off. Look at him, look.
Okay, this last message on it. Ruki Hussain says there is no power to change greater than the community discovering what it cares about.
Absolutely.
That's a closing note. Okay, go on then.
Okay, this ayat came into my head and I checked it just, I didn't want to get it wrong, but this ayat came in my head. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. So basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, incite towards good deeds, help, basically help one another with good deeds and obviously God consciousness. So this is a command of Allah that you help with other whatever goodness there is. Like the brother was saying, you can help those kids for wishes for kids or any
Help
form,
the
help the homeless. So in any goodness that we see in any way, inshallah we can try to do
Form of
whatever we
dawah
can.
as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course.
Massive bonus.
Yeah. Oh, great.
All right.
Thank you for listening. Inshallah, we'll be back.
Have you
next
enjoyed
week,
it,
I hope.
Kirk? Have you enjoyed it?
You know what I mean?
It was a.
Hanging with the late nighters. I got you out of the house, you know that.
I got drawn into a program that didn't exist.
Yeah. You wanted to come. You said I'm coming tonight, lad. Just get me out the house for me.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.